Hello and welcome back to another YouTube video. Today I'm going to be covering the patch 13.3 preview, so let's get into it. To begin with, they're buffing Kayle, Lee Sin, Kayn, the assassin variant, J4, Trundle, LeBlanc, and support tanks. For nerfs, nothing Amumu, Zac, K'Sante. They're buffing Overheal, nerfing early jungle ganks, adjusting Radiant Virtue, and Tenacity. So let's dive a bit deeper into this. The Kayle buffs are probably going to be something fairly, they've already mentioned that they're going to be fairly basic on what they're doing with Kayle, because they're planning on making her ults have a larger range, but they can't do it in this short space of time. So they're just giving her some fairly generic buffs. I imagine this will be maybe some partial reverts compared to when she got nerfed back when the durability patch went live. So we'll have to see. For Lee Sin, I imagine it'll be some form of damage buff. They don't particularly like giving Lee Sin some tankiness, and they'll have to be careful when buffing his E, because that's how he got a lot of power from lane Lee Sin. But there's also a chance that they buff it because Gold Drinker isn't what it used to be, and there can be some windows. And lane Lee Sin isn't bad. Like, it's not bad for the health of the game. People enjoy playing this champ, and if it brings more players to the game, it might be something they intend to do. For Kayn, assassin variant, it'll probably just be some form of damage, maybe a buff to the Q or a buff to the passive. They seem to enjoy changing Kayn's passive all the time for blue and red. They use it as balance levers for each of the forms. It makes sense, but we'll have to see how they go with this. For J4, it'll probably be some damage. They tank J4, it becomes a problem in pro, whereas that, giving J4 some more damage encourages it more in solo queue, so it'll probably be some J4 damage. Trundle probably walk back on the nerfs he received when the preseason changes went live. He was a really big benefactor of the new Iceborne. LeBlanc's been struggling for a while, so they're probably just going to give her some damage as well. Support tanks, this was Braum, Alistar. So, yeah, Alistar got some buffs. Braum got some buffs. Nautilus got some buffs. Pantheon got some buffs. Pyke got some buffs. Rakan got some buffs. And Thresh got some buffs. So, these are all aimed at making the pro meta more favorable towards Engage rather than the Enchanter and range meta, which we've been in for a while. They're also adjusting Radiant Virtue. This is what we're most likely going to get. There is plans to have some implemented changes for manual activation. We will have to see if these go live, but for the most part, this is going to be the main changes we're getting. It's better for it's now stronger as an item for yourself than as a team amp item. So it's quite nice in that regard, but we'll have to see how it lands. It's kind of the only viable tank item at the moment, and that makes it very volatile, because if they were better, if the other tank items were better, then people would have other options, but as Radiant's most people's only option, it's kind of, yeah, we'll have to see how this one lands. Amumu, I'm pretty sure he's doing too strong in the support role. I'll quickly check this. Yeah, Amumu's doing really well in the support role. He's also not doing too badly as a jungler, a 56% win rate jungler. He is probably the strongest jungler on the current patch. The Demonics nerfs did hit him, not a lot. It looks like his best build is to go Demonics into Radiant Virtue, and then something like Sunfires, Abyssal. He's a really big benefactor of all these items. So they'll probably just do some standard Amumu nerfs. He just needs nerfs across the board. He's strong in 2 roles. Zac is really strong in 4 roles. He's good as a top laner, he is good as a jungler, and he's really good as a mid laner. He also works as a support, so it doesn't surprise me that we're seeing Zac being nerfed. K'Sante, really dominant in pro play at the moment. I wonder if they'll shift some power away from his damage, but then it kind of ruins the reason of the transform. I personally dislike K'Sante. He just doesn't feel healthy. He builds like a tank, but then does incredibly large amounts of damage in his all-out form. It's kind of the identity of the champ, but I think it's done in a really unhealthy way. The overheal buffs are changing it from 10 plus 9% max HP to 20 to 300 based on champion level. This helps it a lot in the later stages of the game, and it also helps it slightly earlier on, just making it more accessible for ADCs and optimal to run into heavy dive and assassins. For early jungle ganks, from what I've heard, they might be increasing the damage of towers early game, but then there are different iterations on what they might do, so we'll have to see where this one goes tomorrow. And yeah, Radiant Virtue is being changed. Tenacity is being changed to stack in a different way to what it currently stacks. And we'll have to see what they end up doing with that tomorrow as well. So overall, a fairly solid amount of changes. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that Elise hasn't been nerfed. Still seeing lots of strong champions in the game at the moment. Anivia is another champ. Imagine if you have Anivia and Amumu on the same team, that probably increases your chances of winning to almost 60%, something nuts like that. There's a lot of really strong ADCs at the moment, definitely benefiting from the marksman items, things like Draven, and I actually have a notepad of some of these things. So yeah, Draven, Kalista, Kai'Sa, Samira, these will be benefactors of the items and support tanks buffs. Zyra and Tristana as well. Kayn has a possibility of being stronger with these, but for the most part, it's going to be V6 ADCs. We're going to maybe look at possible fights heavy meta with high kills, with 4 AD junglers being buffed, combined with support tanks being buffed. And Kayle buffs probably won't impact top meta, but we'll have to see whether she actually finds her footing well. Hasn't been particularly impactful since, and other than the patch straight after ability. So that's all it is for today. I will cover the rest tomorrow, and I'll see you guys then. Goodbye. Like and subscribe.